Hello everyone, Kentu Tiger here with Bengali Engineering and Play. We are back in Space Engineers. We're continuing on, which is really probably just about the last episode of our basic survival tutorial. We're way beyond the basics here, but I really kind of wanted to get us to a logical stopping place, and the only other thing left to do after building the base was to build a fighter. Now, I've decided to name this the Ugly Duckling because it kind of is. Not that it's a duckling, but it's kind of a tiger stripe something behemoth. Um, but I did some changes on it. There was some things that I wanted to add. So the first thing I did was realize that I really did not have enough storage in this. Now that I can't say that wasn't by design, because I only had the one medium cargo container, and I think that was plenty sufficient. Um, this is rather an oblong-looking, strange thing from the side. It doesn't look too bad, but if you get really kind of the top-down perspective, it really is kind of an ugly thing. I think it will work out well, but we haven't really tested. The other thing I did was some of this dead space here, which there was some dead space on the top and again on the bottom. I turned this into storage, and namely storage for things like fuel and ice, and then I added a few more ammo containers forward that would be able to support these Gatling turrets up here forward, these Gatling guns forward. So the idea there was that that whole medium container can now be dedicated to missiles, which is what I did. So now the ammo containers in the forward portion here are dedicated entirely to the Gatling guns. These ones underneath and above are dedicated to fuel and ice. So these up here, and then that central medium container that you saw when we were building is now dedicated to missiles. So added these containers on the side, added the containers in the front and on the bottom. Then I kind of redesigned. If you remember, we had two Gatling guns in here on the side of the cockpit. I pulled those out. The reason I pulled those out is because I wanted to add some displays on here that I think are very practical. So let me go ahead and get in the cockpit so you can see where these are. I like them down low so you still have reasonably good visibility. As far as just pure visibility, obviously these big rails on this cockpit are not ideal. There's a lot of blind area. Especially if you consider this is a fighter, you want as much visibility to see out as possible. But again, that it is what it is. So on the lower left, lower right here, we have WIP's artificial horizon. Currently, we are in a no gravity type of situation, so the artificial horizon won't actually work. There is no horizon when you're in space, because the horizon is all about a gravity well, and where the center of that gravity well is. So, but again, WIP's artificial horizon, WIP has done some really incredible stuff. Let me go ahead and turn the HUD off so we can see really what these are in their full splendor. On the left side here, this is using MMaster's LCD2 script, automatic LCD2 script, which really just gives you the flexibility to put almost any information that you could possibly want onto a display somewhere. In this case, this is a fighter. Having a ready display of information such as what's in all of your different pieces of equipment, all of your different munitions, then this was the idea there. So The only thing I did not do, which I sometimes do, is kind of go through and label where these Gatling guns are, whether they're the left side, the right side, or port and starboard side, front, whatever. And I kind of decided I'm just going to leave them numbered the way they are because A, this is a demonstration. B, is there really any reason to? They're all in one group. So if I were to put a singular group on here and like have port side, starboard side, and forward, and could select between those, then great, fine, and dandy. But in this case, not doing that. They're all either live or not. Now, speaking of HUD, what I did not do before I saved this thing is actually put the weapons and such up on the toolbar. So really, probably a good idea to do that. Let me see. And I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to put that one there. Whoa, that's a lot of rounds. And then put these here. And as groups, weapons, guns, which we can turn them on or off. And these missile on or off. And darn it, I was hoping that would actually do something there, but I guess not. Or perhaps missile turret on and off. Possibly even missile turret control. So you can grab that and then because if you're not really selected on the rocket launcher, then it won't fire. Okay. Let me jump out and we'll do a quick save of this thing. I think we are still in Space Master to make that happen. In fact, let's go ahead and look here. So we'll delete the ugly duckling fighter. And then resave now that I have the sum of the maybe we have a couple other things that we could do, such as go ahead and go back into all blocks. We have our connector here, so let's go ahead and put the connector. We're going to do a switch lock and then an on off, which is right here. And then our groups, we have a landing gear, which is really just switch lock. We're going to do a landing gear there, switch lock. And we're going to do one other modification here that's always a helpful thing. Well, let's just do camera. In this case, I'm going to use the vanilla camera because this is a vanilla craft entirely. And I like to add in a camera that allows me to kind of line up on my docking bay, or in this case the connector here. So I'm going to put it just slightly forward of the connector. It's also our downward view. Now the way you swivel this is really entirely up to you. I consider this as I'm going to pretend that I'm sitting in a seat and I'm going to lean forward and look down. Okay, so that puts my chin towards my chest here, towards the aft end of the craft. So when I'm doing cameras, I use that philosophy, and then I swivel my camera around to be appropriate to that. So in this case, the bottom of the camera pointing aft, which is what this is. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that one in, and oops, I do indeed have Space Master on. So let me go ahead and change that to a me. This camera is the ventral view, which is really synonymous with my docking. So that's the whole idea here with the docking. We put the computers back here. So these are the program blocks. One of them is for whips, artificial horizon. The other is for the LCDs. Okay. So having done that, let's go up one more time, slide over here to the side, and take a quick copy of this thing. Duckling fighter right there. Okay, so we'll delete that one. Yes. Details, rename, and we'll just call this indeed the ugly duckling fighter. Okay, so we have I screwed up. One more thing to do. So we'll delete that. We'll go in here to the cockpit to add one more thing. Oh, darn. Gee. We have now a camera that will be our downward view. So now we have our landing gear availability, we have our camera, and our dock, which is to say our connector. So by pushing 7, we will gain the ability to look down, and that is right in front of our connector. So in this case, if I move backwards and then line myself up on the connector, should be able to roll right down and then dock pretty easily. See what happened here. Let's go external view. It's because I'm slightly sideways. Oh, and I'm still up quite a bit further than I thought I was. But let's get myself oriented correctly. We'll go back to number 7, continue to come downwards, and there we are locked in. And you can see both the landing gear as well as, so the landing gear on number 6 and the connector on number 8 are both ready. So not a bad thing. All right. Upward. This is this situation where the magnetics are beyond the capability of the vessel. So in this case, that's why we put that second thing for the connector there, where we can actually turn it off, just completely turn it off. So we'll turn that back on. All right, T. And T again to get out, back off just a little tiny bit, take a picture, and put this into our inventory, our blueprints. Alright, so having done all that, we kind of redesigned everything to add those containers. We added the displays on the side. And in fact, we moved 2 of the 4 Gatling turrets or Gatling guns up to the front. So we just changed a few things here, but in the end, needed to move these guys so we had room for those. All right. Zoom forward here. This is not as it's heavy, much heavier than intended, but given the size of it, is probably not to be expected, not to be unexpected. So one of the things I want to do here is get out here. Oh, that was not what I wanted to do. Oh, and of course, why would we have... Because dampeners turn off when you get out of a cockpit. Why the fuck that happens, nobody knows except the yahoos at Keen. Again, it would be really nice if the folks at Keen would actually play this game. Alright, so I wanted to do a V, so I can target in here. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and target missiles first. So we're doing just a little bit of damage there, but let's go ahead and retarget on our guns. You can see the gun pattern there. Hard to see what we can do. Roll around here to a sun side. Relax and hold and everything. So this thing is heavy ammo. It's just a great big block. 20 by 20. So one of the downsides, you can't really see the display when we get the sun. Missiles. Port is out of ammunition. Why? Okay. It just takes a second to reload because I have plenty of ammunition there. Okay, let's jump out for just a second and kind of look at what the damage is looking like. Quite a bit. Again, heavy armor, but you know the limitation of small weapons versus large blocks. So heavy armor being what it is. This is colorized, of course, so you can actually count the number of blocks you've penetrated. Alright, so not a bad test, all things considered. Let's go ahead and go down a little bit. And the reason I wanted to go down was then I can turn on the... Oops. 4. See if it will actually lock up and do anything. And right now, it's a no. So the other thing we added on here was the control. So I think we have 6 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 5 rounds. Thought it had 6, but 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you've got that 5th one. Oh, and the graphics driver has crashed. Sure it has. So anyway, this is was mostly just a test of what this little ugly duckling could do, and I think we have pretty much finalized our testing. We have blown holes in our target, which is really all we needed to do. So with that, this is Kenty Tagger signing off, and we'll see you next time.